Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Jerry Tope.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV, and the Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news show.
If you have a news topic or tips you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Monday at noon and is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Thursday at noon, 3 and 6. Today is October 2nd, 2017, and now the news at noon. Reported by the Cortez Journal, a three-vehicle collision Friday afternoon resulted in multiple injuries and shut down U.S. Highway 491 near County Road N for about 2 hours. Cortez and Lewis Areola firefighters, Colorado State Patrol troopers, and multiple ambulances were called to the scene about 3:10 p.m. after a report of an accident involving 3 vehicles and several injured people. U.S. Highway 491 was closed in both directions near the intersection by 3:20 p.m. and northbound traffic was diverted onto Lebanon Road. Cortez Fire Protection District Administrative Assistant Wendy Mimiaga said all the available personnel, including Assistant Fire Chief Sean Biddle, responded to the crash, which she said involved a head-on collision between 2 vehicles. Montezuma County Sheriff Steve Nowlin said 2 deputies responded to help with traffic control unit state troopers until state troopers could arrive. Lewis Areola Fire Chief George Devers said 4 people were transported to Southwest Memorial Hospital with broken bones and lacerations. 1 female patient was reportedly pinned inside her vehicle and had to be extricated. Although some of the injuries were serious, Devers said none were critical. Devers said the collision occurred between an SUV and 2 pickups, one of which was hauling a trailer. Lewis said a 77-year-old woman from Dolores was driving the SUV, a 41-year-old man and woman from Cortez were in one of the pickups, and the pickup with the trailer was occupied by a 67-year-old man from Utah and a 40-year-old man from Cortez. All the people involved sustained moderate to serious injuries except the 40-year-old man, whose injuries were minor. All 3 cars were totaled. Devers and Lewis said it appeared the SUV had rear-ended one of the pickups while it was trying to turn, pushing it into oncoming traffic where it collided head-on with the truck hauling the trailer. But Devers said responders were not yet certain what caused the accident. It does not appear that drugs, alcohol, or speed are being considered as factors, Lewis said. The road was reopened about 5:10 p.m. according to a tweet from the Colorado Department of Transportation.
From the Durango Herald, a Durango police officer is credited with saving a baby's life last weekend while responding to an unrelated call. On Sunday, Corporal Juan Gallegos was dispatched to an in-town apartment complex where a man armed with a knife was threatening suicide. According to the Durango Police Department's Facebook page and Chief of Police Cameron Afzal, while Gallegos was waiting for backup, a dispatcher said the man had a torch and was threatening to burn down the apartment complex. Gallegos ran into the building, and just as he contacted the man with the torch, a neighbor in the complex frantically ran up to Gallegos saying her baby was choking, according to the Facebook post. He told the person, the suicidal man, "I have to be right back." Went up there, called the medics, and then turned the baby over did the Heimlich maneuver. The baby started crying, and the officer handed the baby right back to the mom and then went and handled the gentleman that was in a mental crisis situation. The chief said absolutely he did save the baby's life. Gallegos talked to the man who was threatening suicide about getting help, and another officer took him to the hospital. Afzal said all in a day's work. That's part of the job. If you talk to most cops, that's part of the DNA, whether it's the police department guys or the fire department folks. You do your job and just move on to the next call, so to speak, said Afzal. Gallegos mentioned the incident in a report, but he didn't make a big deal of it. The mother of the chief called police to say if it wasn't for Gallegos, she would have lost her baby. Gallegos returned to the apartment complex on Monday to check on the baby. According to the Facebook post, they said, "We're happy to say that the baby is doing very well thanks to Corporal Gallegos' quick response in administering first aid."
From the Cortez Journal, tiny holes or faulty parts could be the reason that about 430 oil or gas pipelines in Colorado failed a leak detection test after a fatal explosion blamed on gas seeping from a severed line. The Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission said the number of pipelines that failed represents 0.35% of the lines tested. Regulators are checking with energy companies to make sure the problems are fixed, Commission spokesperson Todd Hartman said. Governor John Hickenlooper, a Democrat and former petroleum engineer, said the results show the reason he ordered the inspections. Quote, given the number of pipelines in the state, this is a relatively small figure. However, each failure requires our attention, he said in a written statement. The commission has not said where the pipelines are, but the state ordered energy companies to test all lines within 1,000 feet of occupied buildings. Companies reported that a total of 120,815 flow lines are within 1,000 feet of occupied buildings. The commission said more than 107,000 pipelines are either past the test or were out of service and have been sealed. The status of another 13,000 pipelines remained unclear, officials said, and they were working with energy companies to get more information. The pipelines, called flow lines, carry oil, gas, or water from wells to storage tanks or other collection equipment. They are usually underground. The state ordered the test after an April 17th explosion in Firestone that killed 2 people, injured 1, and destroyed a house. The Oil and Gas Conservation Commission is rewriting its flow line regulations because of the Firestone explosion.
From the Cortez Journal, local fire departments gained 5 new recruits from the Fire Academy graduation on Saturday afternoon at the Dolores Firehouse. The recruit class was named in honor of deceased firefighter Patrick H. Fisher. Fisher served at the Dolores Fire Protection District for 20 years. He served as assistant chief for about half that time. The 5 graduates were surrounded by friends and family. The graduates were Tommy Johnson of the West Fork Volunteer Fire Department, Wyatt Jones and Dan Redburn, Dolores Fire Protection District, and Chris Ludington and Gabriel Rogers, Cortez Fire Protection District. Sean Biddle, Assistant Fire Chief, said he appreciated everyone coming out for the graduation. The Patrick H. Fisher Memorial Recruit Class was the inaugural Montezuma County Fire Academy class and was sponsored by the Montezuma County Chiefs Association. Biddle said, "We wanted to make sure that the class had a well-rounded education. We insisted that they learn not only the curriculum found in the pages of their textbooks, but they learn the strong traditions of each district in our county." The class rotated to a different district each month for the past 6 months. On the first night of class, after meeting one of Patrick Fisher's sons, Zane Fisher, and his family, class members decided they wanted to set a goal to go above and beyond, much like Patrick Fisher. The goal that they agreed on was to graduate with a class average of 90% or better, Biddle said. "I'm very proud to say they achieved the goal." Biddle welcomed the families and friends of the new firefighters to the family, saying that they're always there for one another in what can be a difficult environment.
From the Durango Herald, more tourists are expected to come to town next year, but they may not drive comparable sales tax growth. It could take experiences to encourage spending, said Frank Lockwood, Executive Director of the Durango Area Tourism Office. "We know we are bringing them in, but they are just not spending money in stores," he said. The city is projecting lodgers' tax collections will increase 16.6% in 2018 compared with 2017. But the city reported last week that it does not expect sales tax collections to increase next year. A similar trend is apparent this year. General city sales tax collections from December of 2016 through July are up 1.4% compared with the same period in 2016, while lodgers' taxes are up 5.7% according to city reports. Sales taxes have been erratic in recent years, and one factor could be the rise of internet sales, said Tim Walsworth, Executive Director of the Business Improvement District. "Last year, we saw the rate of growth slow, and then this year, it's slowing a little further," he said of retail sales taxes. However, he doesn't expect 0% sales tax growth in 2018. "I think most businesses owners will probably be looking at modest growth," he said. While sales tax collections have flattened, the downtown building vacancy rate is healthy, down to 2.4% from 3.4% at the same time last year. Solving the disconnect between tourists coming to town and retail sales growth could require more festivals, plays, and conferences because they are experiences that can't be bought on the internet. A multi-use event and conference center could help diversify tourism. A public-private partnership might be a way to pay for it. Despite slower sales tax collections, other economic indicators are healthy. The unemployment rate in La Plata County is 2.1%, and the average wage has increased to $35,000 compared with about $32,000 a year ago, that according to La Plata County Economic Development Alliance. The Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad expects to end its summer and fall season, which lasts from May through October, with a 3% increase in ridership, said Christian Robbins, a spokesman for the train. For its winter season, the train plans to offer more Polar Express train rides on more days in November and December. He also expects train ridership will grow next year, along with travel across the U.S. nationally. Quote, "We invest quite a bit, not only to support the train, but the town with marketing dollars."
Northeast Utah and northwest Colorado had their first snow of the season this morning due to a cold front that stalled over the area. A 120 knot/138 mile per hour jet stream running from the southwest to the northeast will stay in place through tonight. Snow levels have been running around 6,500 foot elevation in the Roaring Fork Valley and north of the I-70 corridor and in the northwest valleys. The system delivering all that will leave this evening and the sky will clear tonight. Temperatures will plummet in the northwest Colorado and northeast Utah area tonight. This morning had a 20% chance of precip here, and tonight may have scattered sprinkles. Southerly flows will begin on Tuesday, so temperatures will warm for the Four Corners tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday and Thursday, areas east of our Four Corners up along the divide will see an increase in chances of precipitation. That midweek system will be a much warmer one than the current one, so snow levels are expected to be above 12,000 feet. This will be accompanied by strong winds aloft, especially over the San Juans. There is an inbound large trough headed into western Canada that's expected to dive into the central states, but exactly where is not known yet, so I'm hoping that will be known by Wednesday so we can give you a report on weekend conditions for our area. A deep upper-level trough will continue to dig into the western third of the U.S. through midweek. Much of the Intermountain West will have snow in the higher terrain over the next few days. Lots of Montana is getting strong winds and heavy snow. Showers and thunderstorms are expected to develop along and ahead of the cold front over the central and northern plains. Tropical moisture over Florida and the central Gulf Coast will produce showers and thunderstorms over the region through Tuesday morning. Much of the East Coast will remain dry through midweek as high pressure remains anchored there. The high temperature for today is supposed to be 60. Tomorrow will run 65, Wednesday tapping 72, Thursday 70, and Friday 68. Winds today will run 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts to 40 this afternoon. Tuesday 5 to 10, and Wednesday 10 to 20 with more gusts in the nasty range like today. Lows will be 36 tonight and run mid and upper middle 40s through Thursday night. And now back to the news.
From the Cortez Journal, Mancos Town Council approves some funding for nonprofits. Representatives from Access Health System, Four Corners Recycling Initiative, and Hospice of Montezuma attended the meeting to ask the council to help fund them in 2018. The council approved a total of $6,000 in contributions for those agencies and for the Mancos Senior Center and Montezuma County Public Transportation, which had submitted requests before the meeting. The town's draft 2018 budget contains $12,000 for agency contributions, with the next round of funding requests due in April. According to interim town manager Heather Alvarez, the town funds a few social service agencies every year, giving priority to nonprofits and organizations dedicated to serving community needs that are not met elsewhere. Quote, "I wish we had more money to give you," Mayor Pro Tem Fred Brooks said at the beginning of the discussion. Board member Craig Benally asked Casey Simpson of Four Corners Recycling, which also received funding in 2017, to communicate more with the town about the nonprofit's budget and goals for next year. Alvarez said the senior center's application was incomplete, but the board voted to fund it anyway. Board member Cindy Simpson said the center had never submitted an incomplete application before. The council voted unanimously to award $1,125 to Access for its acute treatment unit, $1,500 to Four Corners for hauling recycling bins, $1,125 to the hospice for comfort care, $1,250 to the senior center for its meals program, and $1,000 to Montezuma Transportation for grant matches. Mayor Queenie Bars, who works for Hospice of Montezuma, recused herself from the discussion and vote.
Last week's CO2 average is in at 402.77. Week before last was 403.06. 1 year ago it was 400.70, and 10 years ago 380.74. Living on the Solomon Islands in the Pacific have often spoken of a big tree-dwelling rat called Vika that inhabited the rainforest. After searching for years with cameras mounted in trees and traps, scientists say they finally caught up with the rat on Vangunu Island, spotting one as it emerged from a tree felled by loggers. One of the biggest rats of the four-legged kind in the world. It weighs about 4 times more than an ordinary rat and measures about 1.5 feet long, or half a meter. Vika lives in a very thick complex forest and is up in the canopy. Difficult to find, and it's also a rare species. Mammologist Tyrone Lavery of the Field Museum in Chicago, who led the research, said on Thursday that it is likely there are not many of these rats left. The orange-brown rat dines on nuts and fruit, has short ears, smooth tail, and very fine scales, and wide feet that allow it to move through the forest canopy. Although no proof has yet been cited, it is reputed to chew holes in coconuts to eat the inside. But it can eat a very thick-shelled nut called the nagala nut. Lavery said the Vika relative, also inhabiting the Solomon Islands, called Poncelet's giant rat, is twice that size. My ideas of traveling to that area of the world may have just declined. The world's largest rodent is not a rat, but rather South America's barrel-shaped capybara.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings, Tuesdays in October, starting the 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th at the Cortez Cultural Center. It's the Watercolor Workshop with Nate Osgood. They say, quote, whether you're a seasoned painter or it's your first time with a brush, this class will help you develop watercolor skills. Each session will focus on a different technique, using landscapes, still lifes, or an image you bring as subjects. Price includes instruction, supplies, and refreshments. Personal projects are encouraged. All levels are welcome. They run from 6 to 8 p.m. and tickets are $35. October 7th, starting Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Wild Edge Brewing Collective in Cortez, it's the Southwest Sour Fest. They'll be hosting a tap takeover at the brewery featuring all sour beers and one cider. It's from Southwest Colorado. In addition to your favorite Wild Edge sours, they will also have sour beer from Steamworks Brewing and a sour cider from Big B's Hard Cider. To complement the variety of tart beers and cider on tap, there will be 2 bands playing throughout the day, as well as food specials. $5 gets you in the door and lets you enjoy all the festivities of the day. The bands are Joshua Standard from 3 to 5 p.m. Josh is an energetic solo acoustic act exploring the world of Americana and bluegrass music through a variety of original tunes and covers. And a local favorite, Little Brother, from 6 to 9 p.m. A 2-piece band from Southwest Colorado, Psycha Skank, Gypsy Blues, and Rock and Roll. These guys will close out the night, no doubt, in a memorable way. October 5th through the 8th, the 106th Northern Navajo Nation Fair, hosted by Northern Navajo Nation Fair out of Shiprock. It's held at the Shiprock Fairgrounds in New Mexico. This year's theme is translated to Strengthening Youth Through Diné Cultural Teaching. You can find all of the full schedule on their Facebook page /NNN Fair. And all of the happenings are posted up on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call us at the station. The number is 677-4119, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
For the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of September 25th through October 1st, 2017. An officer responded to a report of a child custody dispute. The officer diffused the situation. Deputy assisted Colorado Parks and Wildlife on a bear complaint. A town resident reported a suspicious vehicle parked in front of a vacant home and was concerned. An officer was notified and added patrol were added in the area. A call was received from a concerned resident stating that a semi-truck had hit a deer on Highway 491. A Dolores County Sheriff's deputy arrived on scene, first followed by Colorado State Patrol. Once on the scene, it was discovered that the deer was hit prior by someone else. The semi-truck could not move, and a towing agency was dispatched to assist. A red lunchbox was found on Main Street. The owner called in to inquire whether one was turned in and then retrieved their property. Several calls were received regarding a reckless driver. Officers made contact with that individual. That concludes today's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates this week. Thanks for tuning in. The News at Noon airs live at noon Monday through Wednesday, and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 3, and 6.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook and the DCTV News at Noon program, I'm In from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Jerry Tope. Thanks for watching.